on, guys? I hope you're having a great and safe July 4th weekend. You can tell I'm kind of enjoying mine. I've grown my facial hair out a little bit. But today we're going to be fixing something on my brother's truck that I honestly can't believe he let get this far into it. I was driving his truck the other day because it was last weekend actually. I was driving his truck. He noticed he heard a weird noise coming from his front end. So he's like, hey, drive down the street to the church and back and see if you hear the same sound. So I'm like, all right, I'll drive the truck down to the church and back. So as soon as I was backing down the driveway, I could already tell a huge play in his steering wheel. Like literally you have to turn it like all the way almost at a 45-degree angle.
Tight is not always right.
Oh my God. By the way, subscribe to his YouTube channel, What the Duck. I'll put it in the first link in the description below. But yeah, I was driving down to the church. We didn't even get out of the driveway yet. And I was like, dude, what in the world is wrong with the steering? He was stayed in the garage, so he wasn't riding in the truck. But whenever I got back from the church and back, I was like, dude, how are you even driving this truck with this bad steering? Like, I'm over here complaining because my track bar was loose and I already couldn't handle it. And that was only about a 20-degree angle before it was engaging in steering, right? So it was nowhere near as worse as his. So I'm like, dude, we got to do something about this. We got to figure out what's going on with your steering. So we jacked it up last weekend. By the way, he got his new 4th Gen bumper. It's looking good. We got LED pods coming in next week, so be looking out for that. If you're new, be sure you do subscribe too, because there's not only a lot of things coming from my truck, but his truck too. So we check out the front end, do the whole 9 yards, turning the steering wheel, one person underneath kind of thing with a flashlight or whatever, just looking at everything, just staying in the field. It wasn't his track bar. He's running a Spoon track bar, so his track bar is good, even though he wants to dodge off-roading like mine. But he's like, dude, let me check the steering shaft, and we're going to show you guys right now what his steering shaft looked and sounded like. Get the flashlight down there.
Yeah. I mean, you can hear the shaft, and I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it's actually just shaking back and forth. So it's pretty loose. Hopefully this new Borgeson one will tighten it up a little bit, but we'll see.
Here, shake it again. I got a better angle on it now. Look at the movement on that thing, guys. So his steering shaft went bad. So we're like, okay, we know exactly what we need to fix now, because with this Dodge steering, it can be multiple different things. So what we did, went out and got a Borgeson steering shaft. You guys know Borgeson, great company, very solid steering shaft right here. Wouldn't suggest any other steering shaft. This is definitely the highest quality one out there on the market right now. I'll see if I can give you guys kind of a better look of it. This is some high quality stuff. This end goes into the steering box itself. This end goes into the steering column. You put it in there because it's compressed right now, but you just loosen up these screws on the side right here. You just loosen them up. They're 13 mils, by the way. And then you extend it depending on, or whenever you're installing it, you extend it. We're going to show you guys that as best we can. A lot of times it's hard to get good shots underneath the vehicle, but of course we're going to be talking you guys through it anyway and doing the best we can. But this is the actual steering shaft itself. You guys it's got a nice universal joint on here. Very solid piece right here. I'll be putting a link in the description below that'll take you directly to this product if you guys are interested in the same one. The part number on this thing, see if I can get you a part number. Part number is 000950. It's a 95 to 02 Dodge Ram full-size steering shaft. So that is the part number. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below that'll get you guys easily to it. Here's the instructions. If you guys are interested in reading these things, you probably just pause your screen. It comes with pretty good instructions on this thing. You guys know I like instructions. I like easy instructions. But pretty much, that's a better view. You pause your screen right here. Then you can pause your screen right here. That'll give you guys kind of a good idea. We're definitely going to be using this the entire time as we get ready for this. So now that we've hit on that, we're going to go ahead and start taking the old steering shaft off. What we've noticed so far is we're going to need a 9-inch extension and a 13mm socket to get the old one off. And another thing you're going to need to get started is go ahead and have one person sit inside the truck, one person be on top of it, kind of like on top side creeper like we just did. And we had the person that was sitting inside the trucks turn the steering wheel until the person on top could see and access the bolts on the top of the steering shaft and on the bottom. So that's what we just did a second ago. We just got done doing that. So like I said, we're going to start taking the old one off. By the way, this install is not that hard. I don't want you guys to think, if you've never done a steering shaft before, that this is some impossible job. We're also going to be using our impact, which makes it a lot easier if you got an impact as well, but of course it's not needed. But we're going to break that thing out here in a second whenever we get these things broken loose. We're going to check back with you here in a second and show you exactly where the bolts are. Alright guys, so that is a 13mm bolt on top of the steering shaft. I'm going to back up the camera here in a second so you can see exactly where I am and how I'm hitting this thing. So this is the oil dipstick right here. that's right in front of the screen, so that kind of gives you a baseline to go off of. My brother's got the light on the bolt right now, but it's just right inside of there. That's what loosens it up. We're about to hit it with our impact now. Get this thing out of here real quick, and then we'll check back up with you here in a second. Alright guys, so we actually found, using What the Ducks help, he actually came up with a good idea for once. We actually turned the steering wheel and accessed the bolt from this side. It was actually easier. We just took the bolt out right there from the side of, well, not from the side of the truck. We didn't stand on the side of it. I actually just stayed on the top side creeper and kind of leaned this way a little bit. And with this, I think this is about a 12-inch extension right here with a 13 mil again. We hit it, and it was actually pretty easy once we turned it this way. It was kind of hard to access it from just to the right of the valve cover and the injector lines. So we got the bolt right there. It is out of there. So we are moving on to the bottom side. We're going to loosen that up and then check back with you here in a minute. Alright guys, excuse the dirtiness under here. I'm pretty sure we can all agree that a 1999 diesel is fine to have a little bit of oil down here. But the important part to note, zoom in on this bolt right here. There's your bolt, 13 millimeter in size. Like, again, you're going to have to turn the steering wheel to be able to access it. Make sure you lock the steering wheel, blah, blah, blah. Then you go ahead and take this one off. I mean, I didn't even break it. I didn't even have to break it loose with a ratchet or anything or a long handle. I just put it right on the impact, and the impact took it straight off. We'll kind of show you guys it on the outside, show you how bad a shape it's in, because I can just freaking wiggle it around and everything, just like he was doing a second ago. It's in pretty bad shape. So this Borgeson steering shaft is going to be a very good upgrade for this truck, and probably for a lot of trucks in this time era. And mine's probably going to go in the next couple years or so as well. But as soon as we get this off, we'll check back with you guys here in a minute. Alright guys, we just got the O-wing off. All I did was from underneath give it a little bit of pressure with the palm of my hand just to push it up a little bit, and then grabbed it and pulled it straight down from the top. There is no trick to it or anything like that. It's really easy to get this O-wing off. Probably took us, what, 5 minutes from start to end to get this thing off, including breaking the bolts and everything. So here is the old one. Super bad shape. I mean, check this thing out. Like, look how loose this universal joint is. Like, this thing is just crazy. Like, literally wind could sit here and just destroy this thing. This thing was really, really beat up. Definitely time for it to be replaced. Bushing is all shot. It's in really bad shape. I don't even want to get in on this, and I'm just going to show you guys. It's ridiculous, honestly. Like, this thing, it was completely shot. Guys, kind of a close up. 360. Just the build quality of this OE one compared to the feel and build quality of this one from Borgeson is completely unbelievable. This will last the life of the truck, no doubt. So we're going to get that started, putting it in the truck. Then we'll show you guys the before and after once we get this one fully installed.
I've been going in, I'm fed up with so many things. I gotta just let it all out. I'm talking about the shit they've been talking about. Telling me I should do this, telling me I should do that. Telling me things about rap. Talking the truth and that stab in my back, they will knock me off track. No, too many things have been built and been hard to deal with. I just been drinking. Remember my moves in the past, I'm wondering what was I thinking. Lately I'm living in fear, wondering what if the end is so near. All of this shit going on, the shootings are strong. One shot to the head and I'm gone. I'm losing control, but I can't let it go, cause I'm trying to get more. And I've been in the moment, I've been in the zone, and I'm moving alone. I don't pick up the phone when my family call up and do.
Alright guys, so it is the next day. We ended up running into an issue with his aftermarket track bar. He has a bolt and a nut that was on the top end of it that was hitting and rubbing against the bottom end of the Borgeson steering shaft that hooks into the steering box. So what we had to do, this is the old bolt. It's 5 inches long. What we ended up doing is we didn't sacrifice strength. We stayed with the same diameter bolt. We just shortened it just about a ½ inch. We tried grinding it down at first. I don't know if you guys can see. We tried grinding down the edge of this one at first. But we got the truck running fine now, steering great. It definitely tightened up the steering. Just keep in mind if you have a Dodge Off-Road or say a Spoon aftermarket track bar and you have that big heavy duty bolt sticking up and that nut that's not supposed to be there from factory, it may hit that Borgeson steering shaft if you're kind of running the same setup. So I'd rather us run into that issue and share it with all of you guys rather than you guys individually having to go through it all. So I'm glad that, hey, we ran into the issue, we fixed the issue, so that way you guys won't run into the same issue we did. So that was the bolt. I'm going to show you guys right now the new Borgeson steering shaft installed on there. I'll see if we can get a shot of it. There's the new Borgeson steering shaft. We got it all Loctited. There's a steel locking bolt that keeps it from shortening. It's right there next to that boot, that rubber boot. Then it just runs up all the way to the steering column. There's the steering column side. Got all those lock nuts and lock bolts on there tight with blue Loctite. Trying to pull on it right now. It definitely stiffened up his steering a lot, and I think this part is going to last the life of his truck. And I'll actually get underneath the truck real quick and show you that bolt that I was talking about, and the bolt that we kind of shortened up a little bit. Alright guys, so you see that nut in the middle of your screen right there where my flashlight is? That was the nut that we had to replace and get a little bit smaller because it was hitting the steering shaft and he couldn't really turn right because the nuts on the steering shaft that hold it together were hitting, like I said, the nut on top of that track bar. We tried just flipping it around and having the head on top and the nut on bottom, but that didn't work either because it was hitting some steering components on the bottom as well. So we ended up just buying a shorter bolt. So just keep that in mind if you guys go to install the steering shaft on your end. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. It really means a lot. Please drop a like if you enjoyed the video, got anything out of it. It really helps the channel grow. I'm going to be driving my brother's truck for the next couple of days because he had to leave last night to head back to work in the morning. So he's driving my truck and I'm driving his up until this weekend when he comes back down. And we work on the trucks a little bit more. If you guys missed the last video, we did open up our P.O. box for subscriber mail, so that information is in the description below. So you can send us stuff, we really appreciate it, and we'll make a video unboxing whatever we get on the channel, of course. But I'm going to stop blabbering on. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.